Welcome back to the show. We just locked down another incredible person for XRP Las Vegas on stage. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $2.77 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off 0.2%. Bitcoin, 82,500 plus. Ethereum, 1,800 plus. XRP back at the number 4 spot, 219. We're up 4% on the 24, but we're off 11.4 on the 7-day. Let's look at the range of price very quickly here. We're ranging between 206 and 226. I did buy that dip. Don't tell Mrs. Backup. I don't need to hear her knowing about that right now. We'll tell her about it when we hit a new all-time high. How about that? We'll just delay when I tell her. That's what I'll do. Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a massive conversation when this video ends inside the Freedom Zone, and today we're going to tackle the tariff wars. Oh, they're heating up, ladies and gentlemen, and these tariff wars are not mutually exclusive to where this world is going on a new digital on-chain economy. Write that down. Click that join button underneath every title of the YouTube video or the drop-down button and join us in the Patreon. Either one, your choice. Same cost. It's less than the cost of a cup of coffee per month, and every single video has 0 Google ads, not to mention the extra content you will get as well. Let's get started. The Democrats have gotten a message after this presidential election just in. U.S. House passes the resolution to overturn the IRS DeFi broker rule. Yes, 75 Democrats joined all the Republicans to vote for crypto clarity. That's what they did. The message has been sent, which means finally enough money has been put in these PACs and donated in the lobbies to make sure that we're going to get the legislation. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, our system has been turned into a pay-to-play. And that's why so much money has raised so much awareness. Now, all of a sudden, we see people realizing, hey, you can vote on no on certain issues, but crypto's not one of them anymore. If you want to be back here when it's time for you to be reelected, you better get with it. That's the message being sent there. Now, I want you to listen to a piece of this. We won't listen to the whole thing, but it's important to understand boots on the ground what's going on inside the Financial Services Committee. Take a listen to this clip right here.
That some of the issuers are establishing kind of strategic partnerships, I guess you'd call them, and trying to link up with traditional payment companies. So, Mr. Cascarilla, can you discuss some of Paxos partnerships and explain how these kinds of relationships that you guys have been able to develop helps with the integrations and the incentivizing the adoption of all this technology, right?
Well, I think one of the interesting components about a stablecoin is that the interest is being kept by the issuer as a general matter. In our case, we are setting up partnerships where the interest is being returned to the distributor, whoever might be controlling the end user as a payment company or otherwise.
Right.
And that's an opportunity then to eventually maybe pass that on further through rewards to the end user. So you create an ability not just to democratize access to dollars, which is I think what stablecoins do, but you could even start democratizing access to the risk-free rate. And that's a really important way of changing how the financial system works and how individuals are able to access it.
And really pitching the best ideas, like, hey, stable coins is a new use case, right? To soak up these hyperinflated dollar bonds and all of this and the inflated bonds at this point. But the real deal is that this new use case will allow revenue share where you can share the yield with the actual holders of this said stable coin. And that is going to catch fire like you've never seen. I really do believe that. You can write that down. Now we need to hear from Miss Caroline Butler. Why do we need to hear from Miss Caroline Butler? Well, let's hear what Miss Caroline Butler says very quickly in this same hearing, and you will find out just how important Miss Caroline Butler is.
That you think hits the mark?
Thank you very much for your question. I would say asset segregation. This is the foundational principle of custody, and it needs to be preserved at all times. Never commingling client assets with firm assets. We need to make sure that that is preserved in the digital ecosystem as well as the traditional ecosystem.
Mr. Cascarilla?
How many times have I said, we've got to get away from the bottleneck of these exchanges where they're not structured to separate the client's funds and assets, a la FTX, hello Celsius, hello Voyager. Do I got to keep going? How many more times do we have to see it? But this is Caroline Butler saying this to Congress. And Caroline Butler is also the CEO of digital assets at BNY Mellon, where we've had a long relationship with Ripple. Remember the Ripple proof of concept years ago? Years ago. Here it is. You see it right here. Shout out to Riz for the reminder here. That's who Caroline Butler is, explaining to Congress that, I'm going to paraphrase here. If you want this stuff done right, you just well come to the banking industry because we've been doing it right for a long time. And that is what is about to happen. This market does not belong to us anymore, ladies and gentlemen. And here's more evidence of that too. Because if you're going to set up the traditional finance system to be able to integrate stable coins and digital assets of all kinds, guess what else you're going to need? All that market infrastructure on the back end has to include checks and balances, like accounting firms, to make sure that it's not, look, just because you can log every activity on a ledger doesn't mean that some of that activity wasn't fraudulent, right? That's the whole reason I have said, and I've gone on this in the private group here in an extensive way. This is the reason we're seeing the waste, fraud, and abuse happen right now and scanning every government agency for it. For one, they need to do it. It's long overdue, and we're seeing the rewards of it. But number two, it's because they're about to move everything onto blockchain. And you don't want to tokenize waste, abuse, and fraud when you're going to a new system. So that involves the top 4 accountant firms of the world, like Deloitte. And they have Ledger Align platform. It's interoperable with 50 blockchains, including Ripple. Compatible with more than 50 different blockchains and cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, USDC, and Solana. Again, shout out to Matthew Linai for this. When I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, who else has worked that hard to build the back-end market infrastructure for every component to make sure that the traditional financial industry can operate just as it does today, but with the benefits of this technology and innovation, not to the hindrance of it. Take a listen to David Schwartz as he lays it down. I just don't think you can say it any better. This is one of the best 2-minute clips I've ever heard in my life, let alone from David. And David said a lot of great things, so that says something.
So there's going to be a change. Every bank in the world, every payment company in the world would love to say to Amazon, to Airbnb, to Uber, or to that niche company, fire your payment employees, we'll just do your payments for you.
And there you have it. And look, I'm going to let this go. I'm not going to keep cutting it in. I know you guys don't like that, but I have to say this. But if every bank is going to use it, that means they have to have every accounting department with access to the system to be able to audit it. Hello, Deloitte.
But they can't. The networks they're built on just weren't designed to provide that functionality. That is going to happen no matter what. That is a given. We had a revolution in the physical delivery of goods with the shipping container, which changed globalization, started globalization. We had a revolution in the delivery of information with the internet. But what we don't know is what is the TCP/IP of money? What is the shipping container of value? We don't know that yet. There's going to be one, though. That is a definite. And that's going to bring changes. And what I also want to get through is that one of those changes that I foresee and that I think is important is that the size of payments are going to shrink, drastically shrink. Many of you people here probably have a job and you probably get paid twice a month or every 2 weeks. Well, why is that? You probably pay bills once a month. Well, why is that? It's because payments are expensive and clunky. But if payments were cheap and simple, then those frequencies could go up. Money could be streamed at you while you're working. You could stream money to your landlord to pay for the place where you're staying. Now, I know those sound dumb, and I'll be blunt. Yeah, they are. And I'll tell you, like, if we were talking about email in the late 90s and you said to me, like, what are people going to use email for? I probably could not have given you the examples that is on everyone probably here, probably has a cell phone, probably has email on it, and probably has hundreds of messages that look nothing like postal mail or the messaging that existed in the late 90s. None of that could I have predicted. If you'd asked me if the internet had enough bandwidth in the year 2000, I would have said, yeah, it has plenty of bandwidth. Well, could I have imagined Netflix and on-demand video? That's ridiculous, right? Like, the cost of bandwidth is too high for that. But the internet drove the cost of bandwidth down to zero. And if the cost of payments go down to zero, the world is going to change.
There you have it right there. And you can't say it any better. And that is what's coming. The world is about to change, ladies and gentlemen, in a very big way. And here's another huge signal of it right here as Brad Garlinghouse puts the eyeballs on top of this. Breaking: Franklin Templeton files a prospectus for an XRP ETF, ladies and gentlemen. Watch out. And then we see the first approval of that of an ETF gets postponed here. And the SEC has postponed the approval process for VanEck Spot Sol ETF, Canary Spot Litecoin ETF, Canary Spot Sol ETF, Canary Spot XRP ETF, and Grayscale Spot XRP ETF, and Grayscale Spot Doge ETF, excuse me. So there we have that. Now, understanding that the first approval date is postponed, on to approval date number 2. And approval date number 2 happens in May 25th for Bitwise. So we'll look to, I think April is a date also. May 22nd here, right, is what we have here. So all eyes on May for the XRP ETF approvals. That's where we're at this point. Shout out to Chad for that. It's official, ladies and gentlemen. Look at all of these ETF filings for XRP. Look at all of them. 17 now. By the way, Franklin Templeton, 1.5 trillion in assets under management. Not a corner store, right? So Brad's excited about it, as this is what he shared. I say it's official. Apparently, the entire financial industry has filed for an XRP ETF. We're just missing BlackRock here, right? Yeah, and I think they'll be one of the last ones to put it in, and then it's going to go down, and it's going to happen. Paul Barron, who is going to be with us at XRP Las Vegas, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gracious. Look at how bullish he is as he reshares the tweet from Amelie here about all of the different filings for XRP ETF. He says, just a matter of time, XRP will define crypto in 24 months. I think he's absolutely right here. I think he's absolutely right. And not just solely on the XRP ETFs, but because all the way back in 2017, Brad gave us the answers to the test. None of this works. Look, what are we watching? I just showed you clips of people sitting in front of Congress talking about the need for stablecoin legislation, proper regulation, proper custody, because they're getting ready to put the bill through, right? Well, back in 2017, Brad's remarking in this about how they had already connected the repositories to the world to the XRP ledger and Ripple's technology. Take a listen.
You know, Ripple is really focused on how do we enable an internet of value? How do we make value move the way information moves today? And that's our big kind of multi-year, 10-year view of how the world will evolve. And it's really how do we dial that back and to make it tactical and real today and tomorrow. And I think if you want to enable an internet of value, you've got to connect the repositories of value. Right. And the repositories of value, as big as the Bitcoin value proposition is today, the banks own trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of assets. So if we want to enable an internet of value, we've got to connect the banks and payment service providers and MSBs And we're excited to have made a bunch of progress on that.
Yeah, I happen to agree with Paul that XRP will define crypto in 24 months, not only because of the ETFs, but because all the repositories have been connected on the back end, and we're about to get the legislation that sets it all off. And the maxis of the world are going to scream to the heavens when they find out what's happened here. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, we already see top tier banks around the world in deep relationships with Ripple and the XRP ledger. So imagine, how hard is it to imagine that the US government, US Treasury, announcing that they possibly will use Ripple's custody on the XRP ledger for all the US government held digital assets, including Bitcoin. Oh boy, if they do that, and it would make sense that they do it, they'll be welcome. That will put it all to rest, won't it? Hi, y'all. Hope you're well. Dark Defender says XRP has finalized the correction on the 4-hour time frame. Below is the daily time frame. Considering the correction structures, XRP is expected to move towards 242. We've seen a little positive movement this morning, and we're going to keep an eye on it. He says real momentum will start after XRP stands above the Ichimoku cloud. When we get in here and look at it, here's your Ichimoku cloud. We're here. Cloud is here. Got to get above it. And personally, I'd like to see it get above that part of the cloud. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see it get above 340. Because I know I've seen other people, and I think even at times, depending what the chart is reading, Dark Defender and certainly Egg Rag Crypto talk about $2 to 340. That's your noise window. We get above that and watch out fireworks, and then those targets of $4.29 and $5.85 become very real conversations. And it may just be that we have stablecoin legislation as soon as April, but if we don't, who's worried? The president told everyone in the first White House Crypto Summit, I want all bills on my desk to sign by August, which means the second half of this year should be pretty damn explosive. That's how I'm seeing it. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. Again, click that join button underneath the title. Get all your daily videos with 0 Google ads, ladies and gentlemen, and all the extra content too. And we're about to tackle this tariff war. And I'll tell you what else we're going to get into today too, is the next big ruse that they're going to try to play on the world. If you thought the jab was something and the plandemic was something, wait until you see what they're trying to do next. Here we go. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. Come on in. All right, welcome back. Tariff wars is where we start.